Hello everyone and welcome to Game 3 in the series between mTw's Rine and aTn DarkForce. Game 3 taking place here in the Xel'Naga Caverns. I don't know if I'm casting these games out of order or not, so it could be a best of 5, it could be a best of 3, it could just be a bunch of games that these guys played to have some fun, but so far these games have been absolutely brilliant and very interesting and entertaining to watch. DarkForce spawning on the top right hand side of the map as the blue Zerg, playing two very different styles from Metalopolis to Shattered Temple. Meanwhile, Rine spawning as the yellow Zerg player here on the bottom left hand side. DarkForce opening up with the good game, have fun, but I don't think Rine has been having fun at all so far. We can see a pylon now being warped in as well, and that pylon and the timing of this pylon means that Rine may be trying to open up with a very strong economic opening once again. I don't think he actually slowed down any of his probe production, and as this pylon completes, he's just going to be able to chrono boost and get more and more probes out. An Overlord now making its way down, and DarkForce, who has opened up twice already with Extractor Pool, looks to be doing the same strategy once more as the probe now wandering around inside here, going to see the extractor, most likely going to see the spawning pool as well, as a drone now making its way over and trying to expand. Now Rine has not had that much success or luck with that fast nexus. We'll see if that changes this time around here in the Xel'Naga Caverns. But the natural expansion is rather exposed. It is going to be very difficult to try to protect this nexus here. Most likely a gateway, a forge here, a gateway here, a cybernetics core here, with a photon cannon here, and perhaps some photon cannons here to try to protect the expansion location. The drone now making its way down over here sees that there is not a nexus, and ooh, this is going to be a very interesting as the probe now tries to make its way over. And how often do you see a drone blocking a probe from being able to warp in a nexus? This is absolutely cute. That nexus, or that drone, just wandering around, getting some damage, taking some damage there, and now that what the probes getting in the way of themselves from trying to be able to warp in a nexus. You can see there it goes, trying to warp it in and not getting that much, and now a forge finally coming into play. Another pylon should be warped in as well, as a nexus should be coming in. There you go. Another pylon needs to be warped in. Not quite sure. Rine really off his game this time around. And the forge finally warping in here. Rine unable to train up any additional probes. But I'm sure he's aware of this, and I'm not quite sure why he hasn't warped in another pylon yet. Going for a gateway instead and sitting on 350 minerals. This is absolutely bonkers. If I had anything to say about this, the cannon will be warped in here, and another cannon warped in here. And why is he transferring the probes over already? His timing is absolutely in the wrong location here. Oh, the probes now trying to make sure that the Zerglings are unable to get a surround onto those probes, or onto that photon cannon. The Zerglings just back and forth, trying to get some damage. The shields are going to be able to absorb a lot of the damage as the probes, 2 probes already down. And these 4 Zerglings have already dealt their damage already, as the probes now coming over, continuing to just try to make sure that those Zerglings are unable to get up that ramp. 1 photon cannon is up, 2 photon cannons is up, and now another pylon being warped in here. And this is going to be a successful expansion attempt, even though Rine has fallen very far behind. Another pylon warping in here, a probe going to get taken down. And as soon as cannons are able to be placed down here, this expansion will be up and running without any serious issues. But it did delay Rine. Taking a look, 17 probes versus 23 drones. Another probe now taken down as well, as another cannon needs to be placed down here in just a moment. You can see the probes are trying to mine as close to this cannon as possible, as an expansion finally coming into play. Yeah, just really strange maneuvers by Rine in this particular matchup. I think if he had gotten these pylons down a little bit earlier, perhaps gotten another photon cannon down over here, he wouldn't have to worry about all the Zergling harassment. But we are going to see a triple expansion, or a double expansion, coming in from DarkForce, as he wants to run off of 3 bases. One of the issues of Protoss trying to expand that early is that they do not have a counter or an answer to Zerg being able to expand very quickly as well. So this early expansion by Toss is not going to help him all that much. We are getting that cybernetics core now. Perhaps we should start researching that warp gate research in just a moment, as we are now running off of 2 assimilators, 2 more assimilators now being warped in. The Zerglings may be able to start pecking away and getting more damage on probes once more. The probes need to be very careful, as they are now running away. There you go. finally backing off. An assimilator will take a lot of damage as well. That assimilator perhaps should be cancelled, but it does have 900 hit points for it to benefit, as the probe still dancing back and forth, and really DarkForce making it doing a good job, just putting a lot of pressure here. And Rine doesn't really have an answer for these 4 Zerglings so far. Finally getting a Stalker over and nearby enough in order to shoo away those Zerglings, and now deciding to hide off over here just within range of that one. No, not within range. Not quite sure where that Stalker is in fact going after the Overlord instead. The Overlord has taken some damage and will get shut down, but another probe has been lost. So 5 workers killed versus 0 workers. Harvester count 48 compared to 39, and I'm not sure what Rine can really do at this stage in the game. Economic advantage is definitely belonging to DarkForce. Army advantage should belong to DarkForce, as well, as he's going to be able to macro up in just a moment. He is sitting on a couple Zerglings, and those Zerglings have been able to peck apart so many probes. DarkForce, as soon as he starts to try to macro up, getting into Overlords and Roaches, it's going to be very difficult to stop. Rine just looking to be in an absolutely behind position, as DarkForce, as soon as he takes down these destructible rocks, perhaps get some additional units, will be able to push out very easily. You can see double extractors now coming in, so DarkForce will be running off of 6 extractors, getting about 700 gas a minute, meaning that he should be able to get somewhere in the realm of what, 12 to 15 Mutalisks by the time that Spire is up, assuming that he doesn't spend all of his gas too quickly and starts transferring drones into those extractors. Roaches are being added out, Stalkers are finally being pushed out, and Rine finally building up a decent enough army to try to push away any of those Zerglings. Zerglings not going to be able to do very much more. Roaches now coming over to try to take down the destructible rocks as well. We are getting an Overseer. The Overseer may try to suicide its way in, as we are now finally getting into that Warp Gate research and level 1 weapons upgrade. Overseer now making the long trek down. No movement upgrade on those Overseers just quite yet. Hydralisk then, and a Spire as well. So DarkForce getting the Spire not for Mutalisks, but perhaps for Corruptors, in order to deal with the Colossi that may be coming out to engage him. Rine has a decent number of Stalkers, 1 Immortal, and Sentries, and he really needs to capitalize and get a lot of damage with these units. 1 Overseer now coming on the inside of the space. We do have a Robotics Bay, and if that Robotics Bay starts that extended thermal lance range, you can know that it will absolutely be contaminated. To try to delay it even further, perhaps trying to contaminate the Forge would work out well, or even the Robotics Facility. The Overseer just sitting off in that location there. We are getting 1 Proxy Pylon, and now a very decent sized army, 1950 with 1100, a decent number of sentries as well, in order to make sure that force fields go down and those Roaches and Hydras are not going to be able to engage. 7 Corruptors, however, are being trained up, so this 1 Colossus is not long for life, as a Proxy Pylon now warping in as well. Stalkers and Queens need to be very careful. That Immortal needs to be towards the front in order to both tank and do burst damage against those Roaches. Immortals having a very, very fast attack rate, 455 damage against armored units, and you can see the Roaches quickly taking down that Proxy Pylon there. Stalkers are about to engage. The Corruptors should be nearby. Force fields coming in as well. That Colossus needs to back off as much as possible, but the Corruptors quickly snipe it down and now are completely, absolutely useless, as the Stalkers and Immortals are going to be able to push in. The Immortals dealing a large amount of damage. Drones coming off the mineral line. Not quite sure why he's running away from the drones, as another Colossus now trying to come in, trying to engage. Corruptors coming over with that corruption ability. Stalkers going after those Corruptors when they should really be going after those Roaches. More Stalkers are engaging, but the army of Rine is going to be having a bit of issue, as there's so many Roaches now on the low ground. The Stalkers really need to be trying to engage against those Roaches. The Roaches are moving out so quickly and have a decent amount of hit points as well. Decent range. Zealots trying to turn around and fight back, and with only 5 Corruptors in the air, composed with a dozen Roaches, the Roaches force the GG by Rine. So Rine losing 3-0 in this best of 5 series against aTn DarkForce. Congratulations to DarkForce for winning all 3 of these games, and pretty respectably, Rine trying to be a little greedy on all of the matchups and showing why Protoss going for a Nexus first isn't really the best answer. Protoss, when they go Nexus first, generally allows Zerg to macro up a little bit too quickly. By going for Gateway, by putting on a little bit of pressure, you can at least force your opponent to try to train up Zerglings. You can try to go for a 4-gate with the robotics facility and Zealots to try to tank the damage from those Zerglings and allow those Immortals to fight back against those Roaches. But obviously it didn't turn out this way in the matchup. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed this best of 5 series and this 3-game set between Rine and DarkForce. Game 3 taking place here in the Xel'Naga Caverns.